Bangkok versus Bali. This is my 1 year comparison of having lived in both. By now, if you are a digital nomad, you know that Bangkok and Bali are both incredible hubs for anyone that has remote income. They consider themselves a digital nomad. You are taking an adult gap year, a creative sabbatical. You're just trying to start over and get a fresh start. Bangkok and Bali, honestly, are both incredible choices, but there are 12 distinct categories where one wins over the other. So if you're curious on my opinion and my take, I'm excited to share. All right, let's get right into it. First category, uh, who's more affordable? Who's most affordable? They're not people, but places. Which one is the cost of living going to stretch you or get you further? I actually think Bangkok wins here. And this is where Bali has become a little bit of a bubble. Canggu used to be the digital nomad like hub in Bali. Now it is so overrun. Prices are super inflated, and honestly, good for Balinese people. Like, make that coin. But it just Bali is not what it used to be, and it's so cliche to say that, but truly, 8 years ago was my first visit to Bali. 10 years ago was my first visit to Bangkok, and I have seen Bangkok relatively stay like just as affordable for many. So, yeah, Bangkok wins. If you are looking for where can I stretch my US dollar or my euro the furthest, you're gonna want to choose Bangkok. Okay, next category. Which one is more expat friendly? Meaning there is more services for people that are international, there is more English speaking um, resources, all that kind of stuff might be obvious, but Bali definitely wins here. One thing about the island of Bali that I am just so amazed at is just how serious they take tourism, how well they have acclimated to what I consider now a little bit of over tourism. They're still doing their best. There's still many areas that there's a struggle. There's still a issue. There's still, the burning issue, but no place is perfect. And this is not me coming as a foreigner with a critical eye, like do better. It's just, an honest opinion. If you are looking for a place that just has more English accessibility, what I can actually really respect about Thailand is that they're like, listen, we appreciate tourists, but we're good without them. Or we're okay with like not doing everything to accommodate you. We're okay with you all meeting us halfway. Not to say like you will still find many things that you can do in English. There are still many people that can speak, to you in basic English and help you get what you need in Bangkok. But I feel like in Bali, uh, you can pretty much any random person on the street will speak a little bit of English. Random person on the street in Bangkok, probably not. Okay, next category, which one feels more accessible? And when I think about accessibility, I'm thinking of health, I'm thinking of resources, I'm thinking of just everyday things or amenities, maybe Western amenities that you might miss or need. Which one can you have more access to? And I'm going to give this to Bangkok. Bangkok is, I mean, again, I think of this word, the developing country, and I don't know how or who just labeled certain countries as developing or second or third world. It's absolutely not that. And the reality is, a lot of the places that, especially when I think about, yeah, when I think about lost my train of thought, sorry. When I think about, yeah, healthcare services, when I think about just random things that you might want to have for yourself, like Bangkok is really doing a great job of having pretty much everything that you could think of. And not only is it super high quality, but it's probably better than whatever you are getting in the West, especially the US. Okay, next. Which one is more enjoyable, Bangkok versus Bali? This one's tricky because enjoyment is obviously going to be at your discretion. Enjoyment is a subjective word, but I find myself to have more fun. Oh, can I say a tie? I have more fun with nature stuff in Bali. I have more fun with everyday stuff in Bangkok. When living in Bangkok, every day can feel like an adventure, but everyday things feel like an adventure. In Bali, it's like the fun and the enjoyment is the fact that you are in this gorgeous street. you're walking a random rice paddy, you're in the middle of a waterfall having lunch. Like you have to trek to the enjoyment. I mean, Bali is gorgeous, like, but there's now you're having to compete for, with tourists for the enjoyment. And there's not as many hidden gems. And I say that having like I've been to Bali over 45 times at this point in the span of 8 years. I've been there multiple times. I go there multiple times a year. This year alone, I went 4 times. I can't get enough of that island, clearly. But I find myself going now further west or further east. I try to avoid the middle of the island. Anything that's less than 2 hours from the airport, I no longer am interested in. That means if you want to see the untouched and untapped part of Bali, you're driving more than 2 hours from the airport. That is not convenient, but that's now what I'm willing to do just to get a different experience every time I go. So, yeah, enjoyment, everyday life, enjoyment is Bangkok, adventure, enjoyment is Bali. Okay, next one. Which one is more peaceful? This goes without saying, probably Bali. Many of you are familiar with the area of Ubud, which is the center of the island in Bali. And it tends to have like this sacred yogi type vibe and energy to it. But what I'm realizing, you might find, Ubud and Bali wins for this category, but the streets are absolute chaos in Bali, like honking, constant traffic, foreigners who've never ridden a bike before, all of a sudden paying $5 to rent a bike for the day and thinking that they run the town. It's crazy. What I like about Bangkok is foreigners are not riding motorbikes, so the streets are so much safer. And you also don't hear people honk. It will be like rush hour traffic, not a single honk. And I'm like, how are Thai people, their collective respect for society is to the degree that even in traffic, even in the most frus- frustrating part bleh, of most people's day, they are able to maintain a very zen nature about them. At the end of the day, they still, of course, people cut each other off. And I'll never forget this. I was on the back of a motorbike and I saw that my motorbike, like we were coming from an alley and we were about to cut someone off. And instead of like, okay, so obviously bowing culture is very popular. Not popular, it's cultural. He pre-bowed 6 times before the cutoff. So mind you, we can see the speed, but he had enough time to bow 6 times. And like as he's pulling in, he's like, I'm cutting you off and I'm apologizing that I'm doing that. And I hope by this sixth bow, you will accept my apology. I thought it was genius. And so I bowed by the fifth or sixth time. I was like, yeah, let me be a part of this apology tour because it was brilliant. I was just like, man, they've got it figured out. So yeah, I would say peaceful goes to Bali, but the streets are better here. Okay, more stable, more stable. This is interesting. I'm going to give this category to Bangkok because when I think of stability, your day-to-day life, if you don't want too much to change, you can pretty much like you can have that reality. In Bali, and again, I love this for Indonesians, like hold your ground, disregard us tourists, immigrants, expats, whatever you want to call yourself. If they are having a ceremony, if they are having a celebration, which they have many, they will shut down an entire street, an entire block. They will put you in standstill traffic for 6 hours and like tell you to figure it out. They'll just put like a stick bamboo sign and just close off a whole street during rush hour. This is Bali. So I'm like, you just never know when you're going to get caught in the middle of a procession, a party, a funeral, a celebration, a holiday. And so I can really respect that Balinese people. They're like, this is our island. It is what it is. So stability, I find that you'll have that more in Bangkok. Next category is healthy. Healthy in terms of like health options and just your day-to-day life, which you feel like you're going to have healthier habits. This one's tough, but I'm going to give it to Bali. There's just so many healthy food options. There's so many outdoor gyms. There's so many beautiful gyms that like everything about Bali is conducive to a healthier lifestyle. In Bangkok, even though there's all these rooftop gyms and all of the condo and apartment buildings, you can very much get away with being like a glutton here. You could just go on a food tour and just eat whatever you want. There's night markets, there's weed shops everywhere. Like you can pretty much come here and be a slob and it would be fine. Like Bali is a more healthy place. Like if you are looking to have a healthier lifestyle. And that's why I'm so proud of myself that I'm like in this like 75 hard fitness journey that I gave myself. I'm already down 10 pounds in 3 weeks. And I'm like really pushing myself to have stricter, not strict, but just healthier habits on a day-to-day basis so that I'm building a foundation of like, this is my new norm. Okay, next, more eligible singles. Which one has more eligible singles? Okay, so I have been when I was first in Bangkok, I was single, but I wasn't on dating apps, so I wouldn't really be able to speak to the Bangkok single scene. But I mean, anyone who's been to Bali will easily say it's an island of beautiful people. Bali attracts, people in their mid 20s, mid 30s, the demographic where people feel they're hottest, people feel they're at their peak, people feel like, looks are everything. They're prioritizing their fitness, they're eating really healthy, they're moving their body a lot. So you have a lot of gorgeous people in the island of Bali, and they're traveling from all over the world. So Bali definitely wins for, I wouldn't say if they're eligible, but it definitely has a lot of bachelors if you are single and wanting to date and wanting to choose between the two. Okay, next up, which one has more community? Interesting. I, Let me say, Bangkok wins. I have never felt more stable in my friendship groups and friendship circles than I do now living in Bangkok. And I mentioned this in a previous video. This is the first time I'm finally a part of communities that I am not hosting or running. And I've missed that. And let me tell you, it was so easy to be a part of that as soon as I moved here. In Bali, I feel like it's hit or miss. There are communities, there are pockets, but none felt really stable or like they had direction or mission. And I'm big on ethos, I'm big on values. And so I need to feel the energy. Like, is this something that because I'm not a big turn up person, I'm not a club person. I want to actually have intelligent conversation. I want to create memories. I want to go on experiences. And it's so thoughtfully and intentionally done here in Bangkok. And so I'm a part of like three communities here. And I love that for me. As an adult, mid 30s, friendship can still feel like a vulnerable thing. So I love that I feel at my strongest being here. Okay. And next, safest. Which one is more safe? It's wild. Like both are incredibly safe, but I'm gonna actually give this to Bangkok. And the only thing that doesn't make Bali as safe as Bangkok is the fact that there's more tourists in Bali. So what makes Bali dangerous, if you can even say that, are the tourists. Tourists will always be the worst part of most Southeast Asian countries, unfortunately, because you have people with just no home training. They're coming here, spending money, thinking that they can rule the place because of their strong currency. They're not, yeah, sometimes, these countries don't attract some of the best people in different countries. And so they actually create the chaos. They have the petty theft and the petty crime, but I do recognize Thailand because they have more rules and probably CCTV cameras. People know that they can't get away with crime as much as in Bali. To that same regard, I also recognize, and I'm just going to say this, usually they say everyone has a price. I feel like more people in Bali have a price than in Thailand or in Bangkok. Meaning, if you want something done and you're trying to pay under the table to get it done, you could probably always find a way in Bali. In Bangkok, not so much. They're like, nope, it just is what it is. We have our rules, we have our standards. And I can again really respect that about Thai culture and Thai people. Okay, next category we have is which one between Bali and Bangkok has more creative energy? Tough, really tough, but I'm actually gonna give this to Bangkok. I would have said Bali in the past, but here's what actually happens, and here's what I had to learn the hard way. I would go to Bali saying, I'm taking myself on a solo writing retreat. I'm taking myself to go finish a project. and I would just be stagnated. Like I just couldn't find a flow. And here's the reality about whether it's living on an island or just being in a place where there's, I mean, beach cafes and day parties and palm trees and coconuts and the sun drains you. You're strolling to brunch and you're back and you're done for the day. You're just wiped out. The sun is that powerful. And everyone's in flip-flops and everyone's in beach clothes and people are walking down the street with their surfboards. It's hard to feel ambitious in a culture that breeds rest. So I would say Bangkok has more creative energy because I can look out in this condo that I stay at, beautiful. Like I feel like I'm in the middle of Manhattan. I have this gorgeous skyline view where I just see possibility. I see man-made creations. I see God. I just see, yeah, it's energetic. It's magnetizing. So I would say Bangkok wins in this category. And last but not least, which one is less terrifying on the back of a motorbike? Crazy enough, both of them should just lose this category. If you come to Bangkok, you'll know what I mean. I think the only thing that makes it scarier in Bangkok is the fact that you're on like 6 lane highways whizzing in and out. In Bali, there are no 6 lane highways in most of the island. So you're not having that driving experience. It's usually just like 1 lane back and forth. So Bangkok actually it's a crazier experience, but it's safer here. In Bali, it's less terrifying only because you have palm trees like lining the streets. And so you're distracted. Like your horror and anxiety is alleviated by the gorgeous view. Okay, and the bonus category, which one is more Black friendly? We're going to give this category to, I hate to say both, but they both love us. I love that for us. I feel very welcomed and very accepted in both places. I have never had any discriminatory, any negative, any poor experiences for my skin color. I have never felt diminished, disregarded, separated, segregated, like nothing in both places. I have felt nothing but queen treatment, nothing but admiration, adoration, constant compliments, constant fawning over my hair, my looks, my skin tone. I think in Bali, they're more direct about it, like, beautiful, you're so beautiful. In Thailand, it's like, oh, Maksuai, Maksuai, Suai. And they're just, and they'll whisper it to each other, but because I understand that word, I'm like, oh, they're calling me beautiful. It's sweet. So yeah, I would say both places are both black friendly. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if there are any other categories that I've missed that you want to know whether Bali or Bangkok wins. And as always, if you don't know, I'm Glow and I make videos every single day. It is a pleasure, honor, and privilege to have you here. Like and subscribe because we've got so much more coming. If you are someone that wants to live abroad, highly recommend you join my Passport to Peace workshop to get you started with the first 3 steps to get the heck out of the US, and it's not as expensive as you think. And here is yesterday's video. All right, y'all, I will see you tomorrow. Bye.